The JLR interview series.
Okay, so it's Tuesday and it's just coming up to midday here in sunny London for a change, which is nice. And Jazz on the Radio has a really special guest with us today, a guitarist and singer. She's from Finland and her name is Erja Lyytinen. How
Well,
you doing?
hello. Thanks for having me. That was, yeah, we rehearsed a bit of how to say the name. I know it might be a bit of a challenge. So I will say it in Finnish. It would go Erja Lyytinen. And
Okay.
so yeah, it's always, I know it's a bit of a struggle for if you don't know much Finnish. But at
I
least
tried my best.
yeah, that's fine.
Thank you very much. So we got Erja here today because she's brought a really interesting new album called Smell the Roses, and I actually got to see her perform last month. Did did a fantastic gig with a band, stroke trio, I suppose, because there's three of you, at the Islington Academy in early April, and that was to promote your new album. So yeah, can you tell us more about Smell the Roses, which has a very striking album cover if you want to describe it to the listeners?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I really love the way the album turned out to be, from the front picture, from the cover picture to all the way to the back and the music and everything. I think this is probably my 10th solo album, but I've done like different kind of collaboration albums and live albums during my career. But this feels like it really feels like me, of course, all of the albums you do, they kind of reflect that time being of your life.
Yes.
And but but this one I feel like I took kind of a huge step forward and crossed some boundaries like music wisely. I've been playing quite a lot like blues rock and this one is kind of like hard rock album more so to speak. And yeah, it has 9 songs and it was fun to make the songs, and I started writing them last year. And the whole album and the songs and everything kind of came up really quick together. And when we were in the studio, I wanted this album to be kind of very organic, very very raw. So it has a very typical rock band instrumentation. There's drums, bass, electric guitar, Hammond, and vocals, and that's
I'm
it.
an organ.
Hammond organ, yes. So through the whole album, there's Hammond organ, and it kind of looks
Hmm.
back to albums of 60s and 70s,
Yes.
the hard rock music area.
Okay, so based on what you just said, I mean, how I'm not a musician. I like music. You talk about crossing boundaries. Is that an easy line, boundary to cross, going from blues rock to hard rock, or is it difficult?
Well, well, I think it's like it's something that has been coming to my music since my Stolen Hearts album that was released back in 2016. With Stolen Hearts, I kind of uh, took a bigger leap outside of the traditional blues genre, and uh, we recorded the backing tracks in Helsinki, Finland, and then I came to London to do the overdubs and the vocals with the legendary producer called Chris Kimsey, who's been working with Rolling Stones and Marillion and so on, like right, just
Yes.
top
Yeah,
artists.
really.
And,
Mm.
it was really fascinating to work with him, and on this album, it's kind of I noticed that I was um, writing more kind of a rockier stuff and longer guitar solos. Like for instance, there's one song on this old album that is called Black Ocean, and it's like 7 minute, more than 7 minutes long song, with a really long guitar solo there in the middle section. And yeah, so I think I've seen this coming, so to speak, since 2016, and now we're 2025, and yeah, things have been moving, and as an artist, I always want to um, move forward really, and come up with something new on each album
Yeah.
that I.
And also, well, I'm gonna ask you a question about the album. Before I do that, um, Hammond, that's an interesting like instrument to use in this day and age. Because
Yeah.
being jazz, you hear it a lot, obviously in jazz. But I mean, as you said, back in those days, it was quite a common instrument to use. I'm thinking of people like Larry Young, for instance, who played a lot with Tony Williams' Lifetime. They were using the Hammond organ a lot. So, I mean, that's a really nice idea.
Yeah, I've always loved the Hammond sound, Jimmy Smith
Yeah,
and that kind of thing. I think I love it. I think it's great, and you can play jazz or you can play uh hard rock with Hammond. It is actually pretty versatile instrument. And when my Hammond player Harri Taittonen, he was in the studio, and we were playing this song on my album called Empty Hours, which is kind of like a ballad, uh, and it has this kind of a haunting slide guitar melody. And I thought, how will Hammond sound on this track? And so he was creating these lovely sceneries with Hammond, and you know playing different than on a Deep Purple album on that song. Although, but I do love Deep Purple, for every other song I use Deep Purple as a example.
that's okay. You have to do what you want to do.
Yes.
But what about the track? So that's the name of the album, the title track. I mean, obviously it's a really interesting um title for an album, and the album cover's got you with a rose in your mouth.
Yes.
And I think you told me it's not like AI generated. It's actually a real picture. It's actually organically done.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Some people have asked me, like, did I really actually have a rose in my mouth? But yes, I did. And um, well, the whole album is um, it kind of comes at you. It's quite edgy. I would think at least it's more edgier than my previous albums. And the title track, "Smell the Roses," I'm singing there, "Smell the roses, bitch," saying like, "Come on, wake up and see the beauty in the world. Stop bitching and stop and in a bigger picture, like for this whole universe and this whole world we are living in, like." Stop the madness. Stop creating chaos, and stop envying uh, what what your neighbor has. And it's also kind of pointing for the world leaders that already have a lot of stuff. They already have so much of power, and still they want more. So I think it's so worrying. And now we are living in this world, as a human beings nowadays, we have more material and things that we could ever imagine, and still we're not happy. So it's not about the material in life, and so you have to kind of stop and think what's going on around you. So this why "Smell the Roses," and that's why the
Yeah,
front cover also, like, "Rose in my mouth," like you have to stop
yeah,
and look what's going on in here, you know.
yeah. Well, that's marvelous. I mean, I did read some of the lyrics, and I thought that might be the case, but it's nice for you to say. And it's funny enough, I remember years ago I interviewed Juliana Hatfield, another singer guitarist from Boston. I'm sure you might have heard the name, and she brought out an album during that stage, and it was a similar theme about a certain American politician, shall we say. The whole album was based on him. And yeah, it's really good when artists, in this day and age, are still got that consciousness vibe going on and they're trying to put messages out there, positive messages too, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of stay out of the politics as an artist, but we cannot help the fact that we are uh, every day we are being we get the influences from everywhere and we see the news and all that, and it will definitely have an effect on the music you make.
Yeah. Yeah. So and the whole album is basically you got different things going on. Like you said, you did a ballad in one track.
Yeah, yeah, and it's quite. I think there's quite a lot of like up-tempo songs in there,
Hmm.
like, but the topics. Sometimes when I read this now, I have my vinyl here, and I'm looking at the titles. There's songs like "Going to Hell," "Abyss," "Ball and Chain," "Empty Hours." So it's quite tough and rough topics, and it tells about the fact that I've been maybe going through some issues and just it's not a life ain't just a bed of roses, that things happen, and like Abyss, for instance, I'm very fond of that song. Actually, it's quite heavy. It's probably my heaviest song I've ever written, and it's over 7 minutes long with two guitar solos. Yeah, so but it's a massive song, and there's a music video of it on my Erja Lyytinen official YouTube channel, and yeah, it tells about that when you kind of you just fall deeper with everything, and when you fall deep to the melancholic feeling, and
Yeah.
kind of you get the blues, so that's kind of that's what it is about, and it's quite a heavy song, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I made a note. So it's on YouTube as well, the video.
Yeah, that's a music video. We made three music videos of the album. Smell the Roses was the first one. Second track was The Ring, uh, and
Oh
which
yes.
was, yeah, it's like a song defending yourself and getting up to the wrestling circle to
Yeah.
defend yourself because you've been challenged and you cannot run away. You need to kind of
Well,
put up
this
your
is yeah, I love these images you put out there. It's brilliant.
sure thing. Yeah, it's funny when I write music, I kind of see like scenes, I'm very visual in my
Yeah.
mind. I kind of see like when you're reading a book, you create the atmosphere there.
Yeah.
You see what's happening there as a like you would be watching a movie. So that's what happens to me when I write music.
Interesting. And yeah, I want to ask you, some more things about your music as well. Well, actually, can you tell us who the musicians are on the album? Are they the same ones we saw last month?
Yes,
Like
yes,
bar
they
the,
are.
the, the organist, because
Yes,
you had a
that's
trio.
yeah. I usually when I tour abroad, I travel with the trio, so it's just
Okay.
me on guitar, and then Jesse Lehto on drums and Heikki Saarenkunnas on bass. And sometimes I have my Hammond player or keyboard player Harri Taitanen with me. So it's like a
Mhm.
maximum four piece. But of course, we've done different kind of shows with these guys. We just played, and before we came to UK, we played and show with the symphony orchestra. So they were like my songs composed, arranged to the symphony orchestra. So that's like more than 50 people on stage, and then
Okay.
the
Where
band.
was this?
This was in March.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow,
and
that's good.
yeah, we have actually more of those coming on this year. So I think it's great stuff that you can play in a small club as a solo or a trio and then expand it all the way to symphony orchestra or big bands or whatever. So I've been always like fond of that.
Hmm. So, you know, the next thing I was going to ask you about, but you've already answered the question. So it's, in one way, it's good. But I was, so you said you've, you know, brought out a number of albums, I believe since the early 2000s, really, isn't it? That's right.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you, how would you say your music evolved? Because
Oh,
I listened to Wildflower, so 2003. What a great track, by the way. Really, I really
thank
like it. It's
thank you.
um, it's nothing like Smell the Roses at all. It's almost like a soulful jazz track, really.
That's it. Well, the thing is, I've studied a lot of music. I studied music in Malmö, Malmö in Sweden, Denmark, also in Los Angeles Musicians Institute, and then I graduated from Sibelius Academy 2010 as a Masters of Music degree, and so in the schools I've been playing a lot of different kind of music, and I kind of had a jazz thing going on in the beginning of 2000 and so on. So uh, I've been listening to a lot of different guitar players like Mike Stern, Pat Metheny, John Scofield. I love Kenny Burrell, Wes Montgomery, Grant Green, all these guitarists. I've had different seasons in my life when I was trying to play like a Kenny Burrell, kind of a softy thing. And when I actually wrote Wildflower, Nora Jones was got quite a big name. She just
Who's sorry?
Nora
Oh,
Jones,
yes, yes.
and I think I can hear that I was listening to her. I can hear that on
Yeah.
that track. And so Wildflower has a bit of that kind of a vibe into it. And yeah, so you can probably hear my jazz influences on my first album. So it's been a
Also,
long way.
yeah, your voice as well. Your voice was obviously I don't want to say different, but you were striking a different like, way of singing, and so you've evolved from that to where you are now, basically. And I need to listen to all the stuff in between because that'll be quite good to actually hear
Yeah,
the actual evolving.
yeah, yeah, it would be really interesting for some newcomer to listen to my first album from 2003, Wildflower, and then listen to Smell the Roses from 2025. It's like it's a huge gap in there. But it has been a great journey, and I think if I have had producers since day one, but I didn't. But if I would have had, I probably would have got a bit of more out of myself from the early recordings as well. But at the same token, I was able to make the music on my terms. So that's been interesting. So I've made mistakes and I've made some
Wow.
hopefully some small victories too, but
Yeah,
live and
that's
learn.
fair enough. Well, no, that's good. It's like Sinatra, you know, you did it your way, I suppose. It's the
I think
best way, isn't it? To be
yes.
honest.
And of course it's 22 years since my solo album came out, first solo album. So I think I've changed as a person as well, developed hopefully and I
Yeah,
see things differently. Uh, while doing Wildflower, I was 20 something, so you're
yeah.
young and naive. And now you learned a lot more about life and just being a human and of course traveling and playing music 100 shows per year for people around the world. you know, it shapes your voice
Mm,
and your performance and everything.
yeah. So, you've already talked about your music, how you've evolved and stuff, but there's still a couple of things worth asking you about from that context. And the first thing I want to say is that you being called the Queen of Slide Guitar, for instance. I've seen you and you do play at breakneck speed, to be fair. So, you said you've actually studied at the Guitar Institute in Los Angeles. Is that correct? So, from a place like Finland, how did you find this music, basically? Because I would imagine Finland has its own musical traditions and stuff. So, how did you find American blues music, rock music?
Well, of course, you listen to the music on the radio and TV, and you see the music videos and so on. And in the schools, I learned more about music, and then again, my parents are musicians, so we always have music in the house. And since I was a kid, I remember my mother has been listening to a lot of different kind of music always. Uh, Lots of actually rock bands and such as Led Zeppelin and Purple and but then again Beatles and things like that. So I think I've just learned and heard a lot of different music since I was a kid and in some point I was probably around 18 years old when slide guitar started to interest me. And somebody had left a bottleneck in our conservatory music rehearsal room, and it was there for a few days, and then I thought, okay, I'm gonna just try that, and and there I started to play the slide, and it immediately it got me, and I asked my guitar teacher back then that if he could teach me some of the slide guitar playing, and he said he's not really a slide guitar player, but he can try to give you some technical advices and so on. So basically, I started to learn the slide guitar on my own, which is kind of good because I don't have like education for it. So I don't have like you know for instance, when I was practicing to play regular guitar, there are always these different chords you need to do, all these fifth and fourth chords and different kind of forms you take on the guitar neck, and then the scales and everything is so fixed. So, but with the slide, you don't have like at least for me, it wasn't like that. Uh, I kind of came up with stuff quite by myself. So for me, playing slide is it's like it's very free. There's
Yeah.
some kind of freedom in it compared to playing regular guitar.
So, I mean, do you play often, half and half, or just when it's appropriate to do it? How often do you play the slide guitar, or do you slide the guitar?
Slide guitar, I think it's like 50-50 really, because
Oh,
I
it
do
is.
enjoy playing regular guitar as well, and I want to improve my techniques with it and play different. But it depends on the song as well. When I'm writing a song, I quite quickly know if I want to play slide guitar on this particular song or regular guitar. But
Right. I mean, would it work on any song, a slide guitar, or would it sound better on a certain type of song, on a certain type of tune? Or can it work anywhere, slide guitar?
well, I think you can put slide guitar everywhere. But it's if there's a lot of chord changes, I wouldn't probably play giant steps with slide guitar. That would be a bit but the melody though, maybe. But
Worth
it's
a
like,
try.
yeah. Try that at home, kids. Try it. But yeah, so I noticed that I do enjoy playing in like like very simple chord progression jams with slide, or just a one chord on in there in the background or so on. So I've noticed that I kind of that's what I like. But of course there has been different kind of um, songs that I've had to come up with. I've had to kind of play together with the harmony, because it might change. Uh, for instance, I was invited to do this arena gig here in Finland couple of years ago, and I was featuring in Kajako's stadium gig, and the song, it was something that I remember. I kind of uh, I went through the slide part, and I was thinking the harmonies, and they changed between my solo. So because with the slide guitar, I don't see the chords that much in there. I go with my ear. I play with my ear, play by my ear, and with the when with regular guitar, when I play that, I see what's happening. Where are the different harmonies, and where are the chords, and how to play scale. The scales will help you to play against of some chord progressions and so on.
Right, right. And I was going to ask you another question about your guitars as well. But before I do that, so you mentioned some names. I've seen, you mentioned Mike Stern, John Scofield, and Pat Metheny. I've seen all of them multiple times. I
Nice.
saw Pat Metheny twice. I saw Scofield like perhaps 5 or 6 times. And Mike Stern saw a great gig he did with Bob Berg. So this is a long time ago. Bob Berg has passed on,
Yes.
sadly,
Yes.
unfortunate accident. But yeah, that was an amazing gig. Um, but yeah, I saw Pat Metheny with Michael Brecker. Can you believe it?
Wow,
Uh,
that's amazing.
I
That's good
know.
stuff.
When you
Yeah.
look back now, it is amazing because time has passed, and now these are almost mythical names now. But at the time, when you were young, you just, I'm going to see great musicians. But
I
now they
know.
got mythical status now, these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like Beth Metheny's music is so diverse. There are
Yeah.
these songs that you just listen to, go like, what's going on in there? And then there are these beautiful melodic tracks. I love a song which is kind of like it's a bit of a like a bossa nova thing. It's called James. The
Oh yeah,
melody.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I used to play that a lot, and I loved it. I think it was just brilliant, and his tone is just it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's funny you say that because I saw him do an interview last year or the year before on Rick Beato's YouTube channel, and they were talking about a particular song, how actually difficult it is to play and to pull off. And he
That
was saying how,
song.
yeah,
Really? Oh, I need to see that interview. So
oh, I'll
okay,
send you the link. Yeah, I'll
thank
send you
you.
the link. It's really interesting. But yeah, I saw Pat Metheny with it wasn't actually his group, it was Jack Dishonette, who's one of my favorite musicians of all time. It was Herbie Hancock, Jack Dishonette, Dave Holland, and they did a tour together because Jack Dishonette brought an album called Parallel Realities. So yeah, that was an amazing band. But I digress, it's back to you. Oh, and I want to ask you about your guitars. What guitars do you use, actually?
I've been lately using this Finnish brand called Ruokangas. And so they have custom made me a couple of guitars, and they are really, really cool. And I used to play, well, I still do play with Fender Stratocasters, and I have GNL guitars as well. But with Ruokangas, I kind of noticed that because the necks are quite thin, they are quite easy for my small hands. So I noticed that I was doing more stuff with them, with these guitars, playing a bit more faster. I was able to do more technical stuff, and that was really rewarding. So I noticed, okay, wow, I can do this and I can do that. Wow, and it kind of uh, inspired me to uh, develop my guitar techniques even more. So,
Yes.
instrument can really have a big effect on you. And I still love Fenders, you know. I still play a lot of slide
Yeah.
with it, but the slide guitar, it's a different thing. You need a higher action for your strings, and you're not really using your fingers. You use a bottleneck.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if your fingers are short or long, you know. It the tone comes from uh, from the slide.
Yeah. I mean, were they? Did they approach you, or did you discover that
They they
How do
actually
you
approached
pronounce it? Sorry. How do you pronounce it?
Ruokangas, so it's Ruokangas.
Okay.
And it's a great brand, and they have made a lot of instruments, and they custom make instruments uh, abroad as well all the time. And yeah, they actually approached me about the fact that they had been thinking about making guitars more for a female guitar player. I'm making a guitar for female guitar players. So what improvements you could do there so it would suit better for a female, so to speak.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, so my guitars are slightly smaller from the bodies are slightly smaller than in Fenders, and it's quite easy. It's nice because I'm a tiny woman, so it's easier. I have one of my biggest guitars is Gibson Country Gentleman from Chet Atkins. I love Chet Atkins, by the way. But it's huge.
Yeah.
It's like it totally covers me, and I look silly when I play it on stage, you know. But the tone is beautiful though. But for me, it's great that you have a guitar that kind of works with your body and with your movement on stage. So they feel really comfortable, and they are easy easy playing for me as well.
Yeah. That's really interesting that they, thinking about these things because you like in women's sport they talk about there's certain things that equipment and stuff that women find more difficult because it's often made for men initially. So you have to think about all these things. That's quite interesting. And I need to ask you also one the last thing actually about well, so over the years I've interviewed quite a few female guitarist singers. So I interviewed Juliana Hatfield, Anna Popovich, Ariel, Jane Ghetto. Well, she's more guitarist, but she does sing from time to time. So I want to ask you, compared to say 20 years ago, is it becoming more commonplace to find female singers, guitarists, or is it still quite a unique thing in the music business, or are there more coming through, in your
Uh,
opinion?
well, I've seen a huge development in past 5 years. You know, you watch Instagram feed or YouTube or whatever TikTok. There's a lot of female guitar players out there, and I think it's just great. It's like it has changed so much since I started when I was 15, and that was 3 years ago. So it has been the development has been just huge, and I heard somewhere that nowadays, uh, when someone is buying a new electric guitar, it's most likely to be a woman or a girl. So there are, it's more and more uh, f- for women
Yeah,
these, and I think it's just great because well, it shouldn't be about gender. It's just it's music, and I think it's great that younger girls um they see that there are women playing guitar, and that hopefully encourages them to pick up that instrument or whatever instrument in general.
yeah. So it's becoming more commonplace, and then hopefully some of these young artists will either make their own record because the record industry has changed. It's not always about getting a record deal anymore, isn't it? You could actually, as Jack Dishonette once said in a talk he did, become an entrepreneur. You have to do it yourself sometimes.
That's it. That's it. And I remember when I was young, I was looking up to guitar players like Lita Ford, Bonnie Raitt, Jennifer
Joan Jack,
Bassett, Rory Block. Oh, sorry,
Joan Jack.
and Joan Jett. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's like you have these um, amazing ladies playing kick-ass guitar, but they were just few names, you know. But 20 years from now on, I think there's gonna be like hundreds of us, you know, playing guitar, hundred thousands. I think it's great.
Yeah, and playing well, which is the most important thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
And just to finish, you will be returning to the UK later this year for a tour. Is that right?
Yeah, we're gonna well at least we're gonna play a festival in Wales in Tenby in November. Not sure
In
if there's gonna
November,
be
oh, so it's more indoor, not an outdoor.
yeah. So and I'm not sure if there's gonna be more shows, but at least there's gonna be one festival this year. And then next year, 2026, we already have some shows coming up in October. So that's
Okay.
gonna be my next longer UK visit.
Mhm.
And or maybe I come for holidays. And meanwhile, you know, I always enjoy England very much, and I love the history you guys have over there. The music history is fantastic, and I do love the old houses and tea.
NT, yes. Yeah, I saw that on your website. I was thinking,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I got my own tea brand, and it is
Oh,
available
right.
on my website at
Oh, okay. I'll have to have a
erjalyytinen.com.
closer look.
Yeah,
I'll have to have a closer look.
yeah.
But I mean, we are an international station because we're on the internet as well, to be fair. So if anyone's interested in where you're touring around the world, just have a look at your website.
Yeah, sure. And you can subscribe to my newsletter on my website, and that's the way to get the top news in advance and knowing when we're coming to your town and or your country. And of course, I have a very active social media, so I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So please come and subscribe and follow. And also, I have a YouTube channel, so you can find me easily online.
Excellent. Okay, and so really, I want to say thanks for this interview today. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so good luck with the album and really enjoy the rest of the year and have a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, you too. Thanks for the lovely interview, and hopefully to see you somewhere again.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
You're always going after something new. You need to feel the thrill of a breakthrough. Cannot feel complete until you get what is on the other side of the fence. You wanna have everything she has. You wanna be that guy's match. You won't be satisfied until you have it all. Smell the roses, bitch. The world you're living don't exist. You can't rule all this. Stop wanting something you can't have. Smell the roses, bitch. The world you dream of don't exist. You wanna be everybody's match. You won't be satisfied until you have it all. Smell the roses, bitch. The world you live in don't exist. You can't rule all this. Stop wanting something you can't have. Smell the roses, bitch. The world you dream of don't exist. You can't rule all this. Stop wanting something you can't have. Smell the roses, bitch. You can't rule all this. Smell the roses, bitch. You can't rule all this. Stop wanting something you can't have.
The JLR interview series.